Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Tim and this is Tim the Trailman, and right out the gate I apologize for the poor lighting. This truck will not fit in my garage, so I'm going to head over to a different shop to be working on it. But this video is not on the 4Runner, it's on my newer 2024 Silverado 2500 HD with the Duramax Diesel in it. I'm going to be working on it in the garage because a company called Spelab, they sent me a kit to upgrade my crankcase ventilation system. We all know that Duramax diesels are strong. This one is the L5P to be specific. And the idea behind it is the engine's only going to last as long as its weakest link. One of the faults with Chevrolet is they went ahead and used the turbo exhaust gases to create a pressure and a vacuum to go ahead and move the crankcase ventilation gases back into the intake system. That wouldn't be horrible, except for those hot temperatures are going to be ran through a plastic box to move that air over into the intake system. So with that being said, it's great new. I've only got 2,300 miles on it, but long term, that's not going to work. So with it, Spelab sent me this kit. They didn't pay me for the review. They provided the parts, and this is going to be a billet aluminum upgrade. I'm going to get a better fill tube for the oil, so it'll go from plastic to metal, and it's going to be relocated a little bit forward on the engine for easier filling. And then from that plastic box, it's going to be this aluminum piece that uses a dual screen pressure differential to create that vacuum and allow that into the intake. And then we're going to cap off the turbo hose, so that's not going to be needed, and that's going to minimize that heat as well. So let's get over to the shop. I'm going to go over all the parts there, and then I'm going to show you step by step on how to put it on. But I wanted to go over the benefits of it and why we're working on this. If you'd like to see more of the content for the 2500 on the channel, let me know in the comments now what you'd like to see. I don't have long-term plans for it. It's a truck to pull the other car. With that being said, I'm never going to pass up an opportunity to upgrade my vehicles for longevity, reliability, and to keep them on the road as long as possible, and to minimize any repair bills. Let's get started. Okay, so we're at the shop. I apologize for any background noise, but this is going to be the main component, the aluminum block, where the crankcase ventilation is now going to work. This threaded adapter, I believe, will go into the side of that. We'll look at that in a second. This is the new fill port, so it's going to be upgraded to metal, O-ring, and that's going to be in a different location when we're done. This piece goes on the side of the turbo. It's going to block off the pressure that Chevrolet designed it to be using. This part, I have to see where it goes. I think it goes off of maybe here or somewhere else, but I'll find that out here in a second. And then this hose is going to be the hose that's going to go from the crankcase ventilation back over to the intake pipe. So let's go to the truck. Okay, so on the truck, back here is the oil fill part. That's plastic. We're going to move that. It's going to wind up down here. This is the crankcase ventilation box, and then this is the hose right here that's going to go to the intake, which will also be replaced. And then this turbo line, I'm going to try to get a better shot with it on the back once we remove this pipe. But here, this line is what's creating pressure to allow this crankcase to work. So this line is not going to be used no more, and it's going to be capped off with that piece I just showed you. So let's go ahead and get it disassembled. So to take off this turbo pipe, that's going to be an 11 millimeter, and then once we get that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and take the pressure line off the back of the turbo. That's going to be two 10 millimeter bolts, so we'll use a ratchet or socket for that as well. And you can see where that turbo line is down there. Okay, to get some more access to the ventilation box, you can take this oil fill pipe and just give it a good quarter turn there, and that'll give you access to the screws and the pressure pipe line that we're going to take off next. All right, so there's the pipe right here that runs through here, and then we'll take that piece and bolt it onto the back. That was provided by Spelab. Okay, so then to remove that air hose that the breather goes to from the box to the intake, go ahead and cut that clamp off there, and then we're going to cut the clamp off here as well. And then this hose will be replaced with the hose that's provided by Spelab. So just use some side cutters and cut that clamp. It's a single use by Chevrolet. Okay, so with everything off from that and that hose, we cut the clamps and got it out of the way. So down here, I'm gonna try to get on camera, like that little silver bolt right down there, there's 2 or 3 of them, and they are shear bolts, or they're rounded out by the factory. They're not designed to be removed because the crankcase is built into the valve cover. So we got to drive something in there like an easy out or a tap, or not a tap, a chisel, and then spin those loose to take this box away from the valve cover. So I'll let you know how we do that in a second. Okay, this is a little bit better angle to see what we're doing with that one, and we'll repeat it on the other one. So you gotta drive something in, and you can see that bolt is coming out as he unthreads it there, lefty loosey, righty tighty, and that allows that box to be separated from the valve cover. Okay, so this is normally circular, and then what we did is we took a Torx T30 and hammered that into that, and then once that was pressed in with the hammer, then you can turn it lefty loosey, righty tighty, and it'll come right out. Okay, breaking news. So that T30 only worked on the front one closest to the driver's fender. So this is a left-handed drill bit, and then we went ahead and it worked to remove that one there. So currently we have the one out here that's in the front, and then let me see if the camera, we have, oh, I'm gonna have to step on my stool here. Flashlight engaged, and then that one right there where the flashlight is shining, that one's out as well. We still have one to go in the back. We'll let you know how that comes out. It is not showing. Oh, there it is right there on the camera. You see it. So I'll let you know how that one comes out, but the T30 trick only worked for the first. I would recommend left-handed drill bit to get the other ones out. Okay, more breaking news. I'd miscounted the bolts in the bag. There's 4, so there's like 1 here, 2 over here, 3rd one, and then this 4th one here we're drilling out right now with the lefty drill bit. All right, with all 4 of those out, this should just lift up here. We'll see how difficult it is. It might be stuck on there a little bit. Have to get it out from underneath the turbo inlet there. All right, so there's the whole crankcase ventilation box. Just like that. And then that's where it came off at. So if I understand what I'm doing properly, right here will be the new oil fill piece. The crankcase piece from Spelab will go there, and then we'll cap off the piece that's on the back of this, and I'll show you when we're done with that. So there are 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so with this off the truck now, let me show you. So this is the oil piece here that goes in. Some videos show that you have to take that off, or you can take that off. But here's the first hole, second hole. These are kind of near the turbo itself. And then these 2 right here and right here is on the fender side. So this piece here on the bottom you see matches the Spelab components. That will get capped off with the new aluminum block, and then this plastic piece will be replaced, and this is the pressure line that goes around in the back, and that's going to get capped off as well. So we're not going to use turbo pressure anymore to keep the crankcase ventilation system going and upgrading from the plastic to the metal housing. Okay, so pro tip here, we first put the Spelab ventilation block on the cylinder head, and then this, when it's unthreaded, it's too long up against the back of the AC compressor housing. So on the bench, leave this in the bench, put all this fitting together, leave the hose uncut so you can cut it to size, but push it on the barbed fitting, go ahead and bolt all this up hand tight, and then that way this will fit in. You can use the 2 Allen bolts there. We went ahead and put the backing plate on. Those 2 bolts are provided by Spelab as well. The old bolts are not going to fit, they're too long. And then the other 2 bolts in the bag go to where the oil fill pipe is. So we're going to go ahead and cut the hose, tighten this stuff down, and then add the oil fill pipe, put this on, and we'll be done. So be back in a minute. Okay, since my truck's new with 2,300 miles on it, like I mentioned before, we just went ahead and reused the factory hose here, and we used the clamp that was provided by Spelab, and then I just added a hose clamp over to the intake there. So they provide a lot of hose in the kit. I just wanted to reuse that there. And so we've got the block on there. I just need to add the fill port, and then we'll be done with everything. I would say that it takes roughly about an hour to do. Okay, so there you have it. That's everything on it. That's the block, that's the pipe, the fill pipe, that's the breather hose, and then the cap is back there. So everything is done. All right, that wraps up the install for Spelab's crankcase ventilation upgrade on my 2024 Duramax Diesel. The overall install will take you about an hour. I definitely recommend having some left-handed drill bits or some easy outs to get the screws out of the old system. I look forward to having an upgraded crankcase ventilation system on the truck for many years to come. I want to thank Spelab for sending me the product again. If you have questions about the install, throw those down in the comment. And if you'd like to see more content like this, hit that thumbs up button, the subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.